Hi, Ben. How are you?
Hey, Nir, I'm doing great. How are you?
Thank you so much for being a part of Coin Nations. I'm following your company. I'm following lots of press release and a lot of attention around the company. Before we talk about WonderFi, I want the audience to and myself to learn more about you and what led you to this company, and then we'll dive into the product and everything that you guys are building.
Sounds great. Yeah, so my background, I'm actually a recovering securities lawyer. So in a previous life, I practiced law, kind of helping companies raise capital, taking companies public for about 5 or 6 years, and that was in the oil and gas sector. So that was in Calgary here in Canada, which is kind of the home of the oil and gas sector. And I started to see a little bit of work on the technology side, and I just found it super interesting. So I picked up and moved to Vancouver, and that was in 2016. Left the oil and gas sector behind, and one of the first people I met when I moved to Vancouver was telling me about Bitcoin, and so that was the first, my first exposure to Bitcoin, and it was, the rest is history. Basically, I was still practicing law at that time, and there was like a lot going on in the crypto industry, and a lot of companies trying to do new things. So I got involved advising some of the first crypto projects in Canada and the US. And as you know, there was a lot of like super interesting stuff going on, a lot of innovation. And so that was kind of my first foray into crypto, and pretty quickly saw that there's just so much potential. And so I left kind of the legal practice behind, and got more involved with helping build product and kind of operations around some companies in the space. And so my sort of first company that me and my co-founders of WonderFi started was called First Coin Capital. So we started that in 2017, and it was an ICO advisory firm. So during the peak of ICOs, we were trying to help companies navigate that. And yeah, super interesting space. We were working with everything from startups all the way up to multinationals. Just trying to understand blockchain and figure out how they could leverage that in their kind of strategy. And then we sold that company to Galaxy Digital in 2018, which was a really good experience. We learned a lot from that, and then just built a lot of good relationships kind of coming out of that. And so for me, since then, have been working with a lot of different companies in the space, and then me and my co-founders Kong and Kartik, we kind of reunited and came back together to start WonderFi when we started paying a lot more attention to DeFi at the end of last year, and just saw a huge opportunity to build something really valuable in the space.
And what is the big pain that you're trying to solve? I mean, I know some because I'm following, yeah. But what was the pain that you saw that made you establish this company?
So so full transparency. So Kong and Kartik, my co-founders, were trying to get my attention about what was happening in DeFi for quite a long time. And I guess all I was seeing initially was a lot of the same hype that happened in the ICO days. So I kind of thought, because I actually had a lot of people calling me saying, hey, I'm looking to do an ICO. I'm looking to do a token sale, and I felt this sort of like I was having a flashback or something like that, and I was just surprised to hear that. So that kind of steered me away from DeFi for a while, and then they kept coming back to me and saying, we need to look at this, and then I started to look and seeing how much transaction volume there was going through decentralized lending, for instance. And finally, seeing these real use cases that we were dreaming of in 2017, and then finally they've come to fruition. So started looking at the space more, and then one of the first things that stuck out to me was it took me 3 weeks to do sort of a deep dive in like what's out there, different protocols, different assets, all the, the constantly evolving landscape. And so initially when we started the company, we were looking at like, okay, how do we make this space more sort of seamless? Like there's so many, so many different options, so many different factors you've got to look at before you can figure out, how you want to deploy your assets in DeFi. But we did see there's companies that are doing that really well. Like Zapper, I think, does such a great job of integrating like the newest, latest functionality within DeFi, and they're super responsive to their community. And I think they're servicing that early adopter, DeFi community so well. So we had initially started to build out something more similar to that, but as we started to test that with users, we found that, okay, people in the DeFi community really like that and know what to do with it. But as soon as you take that to somebody who doesn't have that background and experience, it's like the feedback we got. So two things that we got like from, multiple users that we tried. One was, this platform looks really cool, but what the hell do I do with it? And the second one was, this makes me feel dumb. Because and I get it, right? Because like I said, it took, I've been in the space for 5 years, and it took me 3 weeks to even like get to the point where I'm like, okay, I'm ready to take an action here. So so that accessibility problem is what we're trying to solve, and it just became more and more apparent the more conversations we had, and so we just really have been laser focused on bringing the core values in DeFi, the core use cases in DeFi, and just sort of simplifying them and then making them accessible to people that don't have the benefit of many years in the space, or even the interest to do that kind of deep dive and learning that early adopters like you and I do.
Yeah. And you're going to tackle like the personal level, the regular people, and the institutions. Like, how is it going to work?
We're tackling the everyday person, so very retail focused, and we've got the fortunate enough to have the support of people like Kevin O'Leary and Josh Richards, who aren't known as crypto people, which I think is actually really important, because there are obviously some really big names in crypto, but if you mention those names to somebody that the 99% of people, it's like nobody knows who they are. And I think those trusted voices, we see more and more that they are essential to bringing people into new technologies, into new products. Like this intersection of social media and consumer finance is like, we're there, like they're one and the same now. And so I think it's really important to have people that can sort of share the message. And it's not about, like, for WonderFi, and not that, I guess just to be sort of clear, like not saying there's anything wrong with having if we were to have our own token or something like that, but this isn't a situation where we're promoting our own token or anything like that. It's we see there's people in the space that have been creating a ton of value, and we just want to provide better access to that and help new people to the space find what those assets and protocols are, so they don't have to go through the trouble that that you or I would when we're doing that kind of level of research and get stuck with using a really experimental protocol where they have a huge risk of losing their assets.
When is it going to take place? And the second question, maybe the first question, is how involved are they? Because you have them on board. I want to understand if they're really involved in the product, in the messaging, in building it to the masses.
Definitely. So they're very involved. And I think something that's really unique about us is if you look at other companies in the space, or just like if we take even a layer back just to anything consumer finance, so Robinhood or Wealthsimple, etc. A lot of basically all consumer finance products have such a reliance on using influencers or micro influencers to draw new users into their product and to work on their user retention. And so there's huge budgets behind that. And it's for good reason, because that's what people see every day. They understand and trust these people, and that's how they make their decisions in products. And so something that's really unique about us is, we're not paying Josh, we're not paying Kevin. They're investors in the company. And Kevin's as big of a shareholder as I am in WonderFi. And so I think that puts us in a unique spot, because they're involved in the company from an early stage. They're bought in terms of what we're doing. And so that means they're involved with helping us understand what their demographic, what their followers want to see from a product perspective, from a education perspective. And I think one of the things that my biggest learnings through this process in working with Josh is that his 40 million followers, a lot of them are Gen Z, which it's the biggest demographic in the world. They like people from that generation look at technology, they look at finance, they look at the world differently, and so they're looking for different things than somebody that's like maybe in our age group would look for, which is more geared towards like, how do I generate interest on my assets? That's kind of the first thing. Whereas like a lot of the Gen Z crowd is more interested in, how do I get involved in the space and not get scammed? That's like, one of the first things. And then the second is, and this is what Josh is really passionate about, is how do I look, I need to look at my money differently, because, I'm growing up in a time where there's this shift from traditional finance to, a digital economy. And we're just starting to get to a point where there's personal finance education in high schools, but it's stuff that's like 15 or 20 years old. And so, for Josh, like the first time I met Josh, he was telling me his story, and he's a high school dropout, and he was told, he'll never make a living doing sort of social media and this path, which obviously he's done incredibly well with, but he feels like he has this personal mission to educate his audience and just kind of encourage them to look at some of these new technologies and look at their money differently, basically, because it's such an important piece for them going forward.
Yeah, and when, like, I understand that right now, if people are watching us, they're going to your website, they can pre-register to be the first to get access, right?
Yeah, exactly. So the app will be live very soon. So in the month of October. So we're really excited to roll that out. We've been doing a lot of user testing, and there's a lot of high demand for the app. So we're excited. We're excited to launch it.
I have to ask, like, I'm gonna wait to be one of the first. That for sure I have to, because that's me, the early adopter, and I love and it seems like you have a dream team of people. What can you tell me about the app? You don't need to reveal anything big, but
no, I can share
on design or stuff like that.
Yeah, totally. So it's, what I'll say about the app is, for people that have been, heavy into DeFi, like for a year or more, it's going to look pretty simple. And that is by design. And again, that's because I think a lot of the platforms that are servicing that user that I'm talking about are layering on all these new innovations in the space, and that's great because it services that user, but it gets further and further away from something that an entry-level person can use. And so we're really just distilling it down to to the basics and really where the core value is. So so if you do have a wallet, like software, hardware wallet, whatever it is, you can connect it. If you don't, we'll get you set up with one. and the app is all non-custodial. So in the spirit of DeFi, like we're not custodying client assets at all. You own and control. I think it's important to kind of empower new users in the space to do that, and really like that obviously there's a big distinction there. So it's really getting people set up and onboarded, getting them their first crypto. So we have some on ramps that we provide through the app. And then yeah, like I said, it's pretty simple. It's buying and selling through decentralized exchanges. It's being able to earn interest on your assets. And then it's being able to, just like traditional investors, some people want to pick individual assets and some people want a broad exposure to the market. So offering DeFi indexes is kind of the third bucket that we're providing through WonderFi. And then all wrapped up with kind of tracking and reporting so that you can be compliant. Okay. And so it's we're trying to just again distill it down to really where the core value is, and I think what people understand and want to feel comfortable with getting into the space with, because a first-time user is not going to be comfortable with doing a cross-chain swap or getting involved with layer 2, or maybe not even that they don't feel comfortable, but the chances of them being able to navigate that process, no matter how much you simplify it, is very it's very slim. So we're really trying to just focus, and I think that's going to help us really bring more usage to the space, which I think is super important for where we're at in DeFi right now.
And you're going to build around a community aspect of it, with all the power of social media that you mentioned, and the Gen Z that you mentioned, and also
for sure
Kevin and his following.
Yeah, exactly. Like there's a big education aspect here. So we're looking at ways we can educate kind of the public about crypto and DeFi and why it's important. And it all comes down, to me, it all comes down to trying to steer people away from, hey, this is a way that I can get rich quick, into this is a new way to look at money. And this is also something that if we get enough adoption, this can solve a lot of problems that people in a lot of developing countries have in terms of access to banking, and access to credit. And then even in North America, there's a lot of people that are unbanked, and don't have equal access to investment opportunities. And so you just see the disparity grow and grow and grow. And so I think we have this technology where, again, all these amazing people have been working to push this forward to the point where we have billions of dollars of transaction volume going through this space, but it still is such a small segment that are accessing it. And we run the risk of the same problem of just this concentration of these opportunities within a small portion. It's just a different group now, although there are institutions and things coming in. But I think you get my point. Like I think it's really important that we work to democratize this, and that's not going to come through that needs to come through a platform like WonderFi, basically, where it's using these trusted voices from finance and entertainment and social media to help kind of spread the word, really.
I really like the philosophy behind building the company, the way that you're building it. I'm going to definitely follow up and call people to sign up, to register. It sounds like you have a very, very interesting team, and you want to solve a very, very targeted issue and focused issue. And it's super, super exciting. We are a Coin Nation Summit. The whole point in this summit is people are watching us right now, but people are actually connecting to do business. So we have lots of brands here. We have lots of, from all over the world. They are connecting to do one-on-one video meetings while we talk. So where can people, brands, people want to be learn about the product? I guess the website, right? This is the best place.
Yeah, to learn about the product, the website. But we're always happy to chat. I think we're trying to engage with as much people sort of within the space, but also sort of, you know, equally or more important outside of the space, like, you know, traditional financial institutions, you know, other consumer finance apps, things like that. But you know, we're happy to connect. So can reach out via the website or to me directly. Yeah, definitely more than happy to chat. I know you've brought a lot of you know, amazing people and companies to the summit. So it's really fantastic.
And one of them is you, and I really like your attitude. Immediately when I reached you, you said, let's do it. And happy, you know, to follow up on this interview even after the summit is over. And we'll definitely be in touch. And if I can help in any way, I'd love to. And I know that Kevin spoke so wisely about the company. That it's just a lot of people are super curious, and I'm happy that we're having you with us on the first CoinNation Summit with WonderFi, and there's a new beginning. So thank you very, very much. And please stay on for the networking aspect if you can, or if your people can, and if not, I'll be facilitating some introductions, that's for sure.
Yeah, that sounds great, and yeah, really appreciate the chat. I think this is such a great event, so we're really happy to be a part of it. So thanks for having us on here.
Great, thanks to you and all the team. Bye bye.